Good morning. I just recently completed the scoring for all of the Lab 5D things, the Series Circuits 1, which is due last Sunday. It's taken me a long time because I am trying to comment on everybody's work, and that could be upwards of 300 separate assignments. So thanks for being patient. And those are in now for the ones I got. The good news is, especially on the conclusions, the work was much, much better. They were mostly very well written, and the comments reflect that, and the grades reflect that. So excellent work there. We did not have as good a participation, however, as our previous week. So if you are missing something, you should be able to check on Skyward now. There are 3 grades in for it, all labeled Lab 5D, but one is the experimental data. Another is the circuit diagrams, and finally the conclusions. And you might see that and say, wait a minute, I submitted that and this says 0. Please also check on Schoology to see your comments, because there are a couple of things that I'm going to talk about here that went a little wonky sometimes. You do have the opportunity to redo and resubmit the experimental data and or the circuit diagrams if you didn't get a score that you accept. From my standpoint, if you got an 80% or better, which is 1.6 out of 2 or 2.4 out of the 3-point portion, then you are meeting my expectations, and that's good. And I wouldn't expect that you need to redo it. But if you get any score that isn't 100% and you want to redo it, you certainly may. That's an available option for you. I do want to show you a couple things here that will just make sure you're looking in the right place. So I'm going to share my screen over to Schoology and in the distance learning resources folder. We're talking about Lab 5D, which is this material down in this area. We've got the experimental data portion. Don't forget that I've got a diagram, an intro video up here. I'm going to move this around. Oh, I have this twice. And I have 2 copies of the circuit diagrams video, although I will clean that up momentarily. So when you get to circuit diagrams, definitely check that again. A lot of people were missing simple things to add. So if you could maybe even go back to your previous drawing and just fix those things that were missing, especially where you have to label batteries with their voltage. And it should be the total battery voltage. And also omitting the voltmeter that should be in each of your circuits, somewhere in each of your circuit, measuring one of those components. Doesn't have to be everywhere. Well, you can redo that and resubmit it. This now has an additional attempt allowed on it, so you can start a new one and submit your corrections. If you opt to do that, if you opt to turn in anything at this point, either from Lab D or there are a couple people missing stuff from Lab C, but not too many, please let me know right away. Schoology doesn't give me any sort of good notification that something new has been turned in, and I won't notice. So just shoot me an email, say, hey, could you please check this for me, and I will be happy to do that. The other thing, though, with the experimental data that I want to show you is related to something that I had forgotten to instruct you on in the beginning. So if you go back and redo that portion, make sure to redo it using this additional information. That came out, so we know if we've got a simple, our first circuit, it had 1 battery, 1 bulb. We can connect those wires to the 2 ends of the battery and then to the opposite parts of the bulb, and it lights. Now, if you're going to add an extra bulb in here, easy peasy. Just drop new bulb in, drop a couple new wires, make note of how bright they are, and you can do that by the size of these lines and also the speed of the electrons. Faster electrons are going to mean greater brightness and longer rays here. And these electrons are just showing the kind of a way to keep track of how much current is flowing in there. Now, if you add an extra battery, and this is the part that I forgot to include in the last discussion, put that battery end to end with the other one. Or if you have 3 batteries like this, and then the wires that go out to the rest of the circuit only connect on the ends, not in the middle. So like so. Likewise, if you were measuring voltage, I'm going to drag my voltmeter down here. What I saw, a very common error or at least misunderstanding was to measure each battery like this, but what I actually want you to do is measure the whole battery pack, which is from one end of the battery to another. And I totally understand that this was something that I didn't fully explain. So, and that's partly why you're getting another attempt if you want it. But we'll be measuring the entire battery pack. And then if you're measuring individual bulb or the bulbs, you go up to one individual bulb, measure it, go to the second bulb, measure it, and so forth. And if you get negative numbers here, you can just record them as positive. It just means that we flipped the 2 probes around, and that's fine. It's going to be the exact same number. You can just record it as a positive. Okay, so if you want to redo the table portion, you may. Let me know if you do, so that I can grade it. Let's see, anything else? Going back here, I noted some problems with that people using iPads were having copying and pasting their the spreadsheets, the data from Google Docs. And so I have a short video here how to insert a table or graph using as an answer using an iPad. And that, so I used my iPad and I figured out how can you do it well. It's unfortunately not as easy of a process as it is on a computer, but it can be done just using some images. Another thing that I saw that affected several people was that as I was going through looking at either the table or the circuit diagram, things that you were pasting in, it wasn't coming through. And so you might have a 0 with a missing in there and say, but I did that. What I saw on several of them, check your comments, was this right here. So this is a screenshot of one of them. Something was inserted. I can see that, but I can't see what it was. And I've tried to do various things in here. So that is one option. Go back and check. I'll have it in the comments, something to this effect. I can't see it here. If you are having trouble and you can't resolve it, let me know. And we could do a quick Zoom meeting and figure it out together so that you can get the points on that. I'd be happy to rescore any of those. There were a couple people that put links in as their answers. Please paste in the work. Those links, I couldn't always get to them. Sometimes they were links to an email. Sometimes they were links to things that weren't shared publicly. Just paste your answer in here. Like I say, I've got 100 students, so in this case, 300 assignments to go through. As efficiently as possible is great. That's part of the reason I'm talking to you here on Thursday morning, having just finished grading the assignments that you turned in on Sunday. So I'm putting a lot of effort in. That would make it more efficient. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else that I need to talk to you about just yet, other than to welcome you to send me emails if you are confused about stuff. If you want a quick Zoom chat, I've got those office hours that I've had exactly 2 students pop in on, so you have plenty of time to do it. If you otherwise, though, if those times don't work for you, Monday through Thursday, then you could shoot me an email and either we can converse via email or we could set up a quick Zoom when it's convenient for you during the school day and we could hash out any problems like that. And that's all I've got to say about that. Have a good day.